Authors Mark Cornelius and Traci Loecker share their experiences exploring methods for illuminating a storyline to maximize the writer reader relationship. Writers Wrestling invites you to join in on a conversation not about what to write, but about how to write. Welcome to Writers Wrestling. And look, there's Traci Lecker. Hi.
Hi,
And
Mark.
here's Mark Cornelius. Hi. And we are here in both mind and body. And speaking of body, we're going to talk today, Traci, right, about the anatomy of our writing.
What a
And
great intro. What a great segue into that.
oh, thank you very much. We gotta have fun with this. We gotta be
Exactly.
creative. And, by the way, y'all let us know if we're creative enough or not. And at the end of this episode, we're going to tell you about something really creative coming up next week. So hang tough, hang tough. So Gracie, we are talking about how to put a story together. And I got to thinking about this because my wife asked me one time, how do you even position yourself within a story? And what's the format you use? How do you end up where you end up? How do you begin where you begin? And it's a really good question. And
Mhm.
books have changed. My books anyway, and I think yours from what you said, have flip-flopped, and beginnings have become middles, and middles have become ends, and ends have become beginnings. How do you do that? Why do you do that? So, Traci, how do you start a story?
I want to say, first of all, when you sit down to write a story, there's much more that goes into it that you don't necessarily realize when you're just start writing.
Hmm.
Because there are, things, elements in your story, such as what's the biggest moment of fail, maybe, or what's the, I'm trying to think of the word that they call this, but it's like the, oh my gosh, that happened, part of the story. Should
Hmm.
you kind of open
Lead,
to that a little
lead it
bit,
with that,
kind of
maybe. Hmm.
preclude to what is going to be happening, give the reader right away an idea, like, wait a minute, this isn't all, exactly how she's saying it is, or whatever. So I think it just kind of evolves with my book anyway.
Hmm.
Once I started writing, and I don't write in chronological order, I write by scene. So if a certain scene comes to me that I want to put into my book, I will write it, but I don't necessarily know where in my book it's going to go right away. So,
Interesting. By scene. Okay.
yeah.
Okay. So you're kind of a script writer.
Maybe. Yeah. I mean, because you and I
That's
talked a little bit last week, and yeah, I sometimes I feel like that I am. And so I know, I think we've talked about it, where it works for me to put my different scenes on note cards,
fine. Hmm.
because then I can rearrange them within the book. And so, right now with my second book, I've gotten about half of it written, maybe not quite half, but I've already started putting different scenes on my note cards so that I can try to see where it's going to go and where I want it to end up.
Great, great
Yeah.
answer. And I'll just share that I'll give an example, and I'll start from the beginning or the end. It doesn't matter to me. Whatever's on my mind at the time goes. But when I was writing The Singularity, which was really my first significant fiction book,
Mhm.
um, I started, and I was really challenged by it. And I said, so I started writing in Once Upon a Time and blah blah blah, all this stuff.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I put out a rough draft. And at the time, I was very fortunate. There was a science fiction writer who was kind of putting himself out there to say, "Hey, let me help you." Also, kind of like what we're trying to do with people, but he
Hmm.
he was probably more prolific and better known. And I just shared the story with him, and he said, "Yeah, I'll look at it." He did, and he said, "Your beginning is nice, but you're going to put people to sleep with it." You know,
Okay.
okay, fair enough. and, um, and he said, "But your second chapter is the beginning of that book, and that's a powerhouse, and that'll keep people pushing through. So put
Okay.
the second chapter first, and then work your way back."
Yeah, cool.
It was cool, and I did, and it was, and so there he's trapped in the submarine, and all
Yeah.
these weird things are going on, and it captured, and it was a
Yeah.
good thing because as I'm told by that book, there's a lot of technical stuff in it that
Hmm.
you have to push through, and so you want to give somebody a diving board to dive in with,
Right.
and that's how it happened. So uh, the skeleton is important,
Hmm.
but don't let that get in the way of your writing, because you can always put a rib bone on your shoulder if you want to.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah.
I mean, writing gives you that luxury. You can move body parts around.
Yeah.
And it's a real important thing to know what's going to not just capture people, what's going to keep them engaged. And
Right.
then how do you want to end that? So what I typically do is I'll get started a little bit with the beginning and get that feel of it,
Mm.
and then I'll go right to the end. I'll write the ending before I do anything else, because
Yeah, that's interesting.
then I know where I'm going.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
so, yeah,
Do you ever read the last chapter of a book first?
I do not.
I used to do it all the time.
Yeah,
Now I'm trying to, I don't know why. I would still read the entire book.
I think that's
But
fascinating, though. Yeah, okay, where's this going to end up? I'd like to be engaged. I love to read and getting engrossed, or
Mhm.
engaged in the story, to where I feel like I'm a part of it when
Yeah,
I'm reading someone else's writing. And
right.
hopefully you do that when you're writing, or anyone out there. But yeah, when you're reading books, if you feel like you are right there in the story, then the
Mhm.
writer has done something really, really good.
Yeah, and I also think too that hook at the end of every chapter that
Uh-huh.
makes you want to just keep turning that page. And I just recently read a book called The Lilac Girls, and it's about the based on a true story, but
Hmm.
about the rabbits in World War II. They were young women where experiments were done on them and such.
Hmm.
And this author, I want to say it's Sarah Kelly Hall or Sarah Hall Kelly. Anyway, amazing, incredible. But the way that she could leave you hanging on one chapter to the next is incredible. And so I think also that too, when figuring out your anatomy and you got to keep that reader hooked into the next chapter.
Very good point. And that leads up to, okay, so we talked about the skeleton, whether it's chronological or not chronological, or
Mhm.
who's in the story or what. Then you got to, once you have a pretty good idea of that, how do you put flesh on your, and by the way, what is flesh on the book?
Right, exactly. So I remember this from a gal that was helping me early on. And she said, "Well, wait a minute, you have a scene where the grandma is or the aunt is helping her, and she feels like the aunt, is this was her her calling was to be the aunt and whatever. And she said, but you haven't given any indication prior to what has made them so close. What
How did
has
that
brought
happen? Yeah,
them?
where's the backstory?
Yes, what's the backstory? And it's like, oh yeah, how can I expect my reader to be invested into their relationship if you don't know how it got here? And so that was kind of an eye-opening thing too, like, okay, I need to give more substance,
Hmm.
to what this story is all about.
The personality, the quirks, the
Yes.
uh, everything's going around the character. And this is fiction, nonfiction, it doesn't matter. But whatever you can do to elicit a response from your readers, as far as I I like this person, or I hate this person,
Yes. Yes.
or, you
Yeah.
know, and oh, I never want to be in that environment that you're describing, or
Right. Right.
I I want to go there right now,
Yeah.
and either's
Yeah.
fine.
Or man, I hope she makes it. Oh,
Yeah,
I hope she,
oh, please,
I hope
get
she
the
gets over
emotions
this. Yes.
going,
Yeah.
and that's or I hope that guy dies,
Mhm.
whatever. It could be any of those things. Uh,
Right.
so we're not telling you, obviously, to make the story fluffy, but we are trying to encourage you to entice people to really jump into the story and say, "Oh, I'd like to go to Argentina or the
Mhm.
Antarctic and see that." Even though you get there, and go, "Well, he wrote something completely different from what I'm seeing," but that
Right.
can happen too. So, and that will help complete your story. Um, you mentioned writers, just two come to mind who do this so well, um, and I could throw all sorts of them out there, but Mark
Mhm.
Twain. You know,
Mhm.
if you
Definitely.
ever read Mark Twain, he's just a master at pulling you into the story and
Mhm.
get you involved wherever he is in the story. And he's pretty linear. Okay, so he'll start at the beginning and he'll go along and
Right.
won't surprise you too much. But then the other one that just always surprises me and just throws me for a loop every time I read him is Kurt Vonnegut.
Hmm.
So,
How do you spell that last name?
oh my gosh, you would ask me because I'm such a terrible. Hold on here.
Or just even
Yeah, no, 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 no. I'll get it here. It's Vonnegut Junior, by the way, and Kurt is Kurt. Uh,
okay.
he is a early 19, not really early, mid 1900s writer. Wrote
Okay.
a lot about World War II. He's
Okay.
Jewish, but
Okay.
he wrote it from a um, existential science fiction kind of venue. I mean, no one writes like this guy, but
Okay.
he wrote Breakfast of Champions. He wrote Slaughterhouse-Five. There's a
Okay.
good one. And the other one, regardless, he writes a lot of times as a character who is, and Slaughterhouse-Five is a good example. He's unstuck in time. So
Okay.
he will be in the future looking at a past event which is going to affect his current situation.
Which is in the future.
It just
Or
messes with your mind.
okay, yeah.
But he's so good at it and he adds texture or flesh with humor as
Mhm.
well as drama and everything else. So, yeah, that's a good one to pick up on. He is. You will read that and go, "Oh my gosh, where's this guy coming from?" But
Yeah.
he gets you looking at it very carefully, um, or having a good time with it as well. So, I mean, there's a lot of ways to portray it, and we're going to be talking next week, oh boy, here it comes. Um, Traci and I are going to be broadcasting our next episode from a restaurant, a bistro here
Mhm.
in Mitchell, South Dakota. You're welcome to come. Get your plane tickets now and come out and see us.
We would
Uh,
love to see you guys.
yeah, we'd love to see you, no matter where you're from. But that will be next Thursday at here in Mitchell. And what we're going to do is a live episode. We're going to have live people that are not. We're not going to do the online part of it live, but we're going
Right.
to have a quote unquote audience.
Yep.
And the reason we're doing this is we're testing out our boundaries and trying to help see how people engage with this in a real time in real time.
Yep.
So we are excited. We ask you to keep us in prayer.
Exactly. Yes.
It's going to be a lot of fun. So we're going to be doing that from Bread and Vine here in Mitchell next Thursday, and so you'll be able to see the results of that on our
Yes.
the episode following this, and we might be doing more of that. We
And
might be.
that's at 3 p.m. Should you be in Mitchell?
If you just happen to be in Mitchell, go to
Yes.
downtown Mitchell and drop in a little early, get a seat. I'm sure there will be thousands of people there. Uh,
Right.
you know
Oh,
what? I'm not going to ask for that. It'll be chaos. But we want to engage and have a lot of fun with other people as they listen to what we're going through in our writing journey and
yep.
how as writers we wrestle.
Yep.
So
I'm excited.
I am too. So make sure to keep fighting for your images. Look at your skeleton, get it all ready. Put
Yep.
all the good deep stuff in there, the organs that keep it running, and then put that flesh on so that people will say, "Oh, I want to be there. I want to
Yeah.
know that. I want that book to be a part of me." You know.
Yep.
So
Agreed.
agreed. Well, thank you, Miss Greer. And any final words or any thoughts you have?
No, just I'm looking forward to next week and, reach out to us if you have any suggestions or questions. We would love to hear from you.
Absolutely, we would. And that's exactly right. Let's get some, and we'll give you a shout out if
Yep.
you let us. So here's a shout out to all the people who are going to be at Bread and Vine next Thursday at 3 o'clock.
Yes. Yay.
Right on, Traci.
Same with you, Mark. See you next time.
See you next time. Thanks for joining Writers Wrestling. Feel free to communicate with us with questions, reactions, and suggestions. You can also visit our websites for more information.